All right. Welcome to the 7-7. Welcome to the July 26th, 2018 live stream. My name is Hat. Let me pull this up a little bit here. There I am. I want to welcome everybody here and thank you for joining the live stream. Old curmudgeon, I had it to be Brian Dean, changed my handle since losing weight, distancing myself from that old grouchy fat complaining guy, not giving up on life now. Congratulations, former Brian Dean, now old curmudgeon. And I will fight you for that title tooth and nail, sir. I feel I have earned it, but if you want to borrow it for a little while, that's fine with me. But thanks for showing up, sir. Thanks for showing up indeed. So as I was saying, we're looking forward to not a very long live stream today, but I feel an extremely important one. Um, to put it in a nutshell, as you can see in the title there, Rayvn Skye takes me to school. About a month ago, a commenter named Rayvn Skye posted on a few of my videos her concerns with my advice and take on weight loss. And old curmudgeon, changed from the obese category to overweight. I'm right there with you, sir. I've got about 12 pounds to lose before I get to my target. Just above the healthy BMI right now. So you nail it, buddy. You nail it and you get it done. In fact, we'll talk a little bit about getting from overweight to healthy as this goes along. So I'm glad you brought that up. You're timely as always, sir. Anyway, Rayvn Skye is the daughter of a nutritional scientist. Excuse me. Yes. And her mother specializes in obesity. So she's just the right person to come on to my boards and tell me a thing or two about what I'm doing and most importantly, what I'm doing wrong. Now, I will say right off the bat, it's not easy to admit you're wrong. But I have found that if you're not honest with your commenters, with your subscribers, then you really shouldn't have a YouTube channel. It's my belief, my very strong belief, that you should be open to criticism and to honest commentary. In fact, I feel that so far my channel has garnered, and I'm not kidding, I really feel I've gotten about 98% positive or helpful comments on all the boards. And some of these comment sections have over 1,000 posts. So I think that's a pretty significant stat. There have been a few trolls, which I have banned, but that was over a year and a half ago, the last time I had to ban an obvious troll. There have been the vicious commenters too, but that comes with the territory, and they have their right to say how they feel as well. As I stated in my trailer, I do not censor comments unless they're obvious trolls, as I just stated. Rayvn Skye is no such troll. She is a very honest and earnest person who knows a lot about weight loss and knows how to explain it to a layman like me. So what I want to do today is read you our conversations. We had two sets. One that was centered on the You Can Ask That Fat One video comment board, although her discussion pretty well looks like it ranged through all of the fat videos, 1, 2, and 3. And the second discussion was centered on the Riley J. Dennis lies about dieting, and I believe that the subtitle is "Let Me Tell You About Her Lies," and so she commented on that. She is, as I said, honest and earnest, and she is not confrontational, which I think went a long way into making this the what's the word I'm looking for? The best possible outcome that could have been. If she had attacked me, I might not have been open to her facts, to her science, and that we would have all been the worse for wear for that. But she did not do that. She came at me from a position of, if not complete respect, at least neutrality. I'll let you be the judge of that. I think it was more to respect, but she obviously affected me, and I think she's affected the channel, and all for the best. And old curmudgeon, my target is 20 to 25 pound more weight to lose. Okay, good. You know what? Like I say, we're going to get into that where you start going as you get down closer to your weight. Again, very timely, sir. All right. Without further ado, let me close this thumbnail and we will get to the body of the work. Let me stretch this down. There we go. Hey Ray, good afternoon to you too, sir. I'm glad you got the notification. That reminds me, anyone who's out there listening and those of you who will be watching this after it posts on YouTube, make sure that if you do subscribe, which I would very much appreciate if you did, you hit that bell button, or that bell icon, I should say, next to the subscribe tab. That icon will give you three choices actually. There will be no notifications, some notifications, and all notifications. Please hit all notifications. That will allow you to know when I post a video, so it'll alert you to those posts, and that way you can keep up to date on what I'm doing. So far, the regular schedule for live streams has been Thursdays at 4 p.m. Central Time, U.S., although I am planning on doing the odd live stream at 1 p.m. Central U.S. to accommodate some of my European viewers who would like to see the videos not last so long into their mornings as they have to get up for work like normal people. But I'll be announcing those as well. I apologize for not announcing this live stream sooner. Honestly, I've been incredibly busy this week. I had a doctor's appointment in Chicago. It turned out I went to on the wrong day, which means a lot more hassle. But things like that, things have really been piling up. So today is, in fact, after this live stream, I have to go to a ball game right down the street. It's a benefit. So yeah, busy, busy, busy. Saturday morning, I've got a pistol class. So again, busy, busy, busy. So anyway, as I said, yes, pound that like button. Thank you, Ray. Absolutely. Pound that like button. If you do hit the like button as you're in the chat or as you're in the video live stream, it helps promote the video onto the YouTube algorithm and puts it up on the video list. Gets it more published there, so more people will see it and join in the fun. Okay, so thank you very much, Ray. So let's start. Okay, as I said, this first response was from the You Can't Ask That Fat Part 1 video, which I re-uploaded because I had gotten a copyright strike from ABC Australia, and I had to trim a little bit. It was an incredibly silly strike. It should never have been done, and in fact, I fought it at first and won on one of the three videos because they struck all three of the series. But for some reason, after I won that first copyright battle, YouTube took away my rights to battle the other two. They just stripped me from the links to allow me to do that. So I had to re-upload them with the cuts that the idiots at ABC had complained about, or the sections they had complained about. The silliness, absolute silliness. So there's a response. And again, I believe these responses were pretty much in response to all three of those videos, but she posted on this one to keep things concise. As you can see, there's Rayvn Skye picture. I don't know if that's her and her mom, just who, but one of the nice people who puts their picture on their YouTube profile, so you can see who you're talking to. Although I don't necessarily demand that. I certainly did not use my face for quite some time on this channel, due to worrying about my wife getting fired from work because of my conservative views and my efforts to slap third wave feminism down into the dirt. I didn't want her to get hurt by that, but she's retired now, so that's why you see my face. And Rayvn Skye has 109 subscribers on her channel. I suggest you check it out. You may want to subscribe as well. It could be very enlightening for you, so give it a try. So Rayvn starts out. I like your intentions, but as the daughter of a nutritional scientist who specializes in obesity, a lot of your advice on the last few videos I've watched of yours is just wrong. Exercise makes you more hungry, for one. That old exercise will control hunger advice is decades old and long debunked. And these are things I had said in the video. She's addressing very specific things I said. If you do not remember these videos or had not seen them before, The link to them is in the description, both this and the Riley video, and I highly suggest you watch those, and then come back to this if you want, so you'll have the full context of what's going on. Because those videos, the fat videos alone, are almost an hour and a half in length. And so what she's talking about are very specific points in those videos. I don't want you to think that it's a 10-minute video and everything in it is wrong. I have gotten some good feedback on those videos, but Rayvn is being very specific on things I got wrong. So just keep that in mind. There is context involved in this. It may temporarily, referring to exercise, it may temporarily help your metabolism, but your body will compensate by making you hungrier. That isn't to say don't exercise. Do, of course. It helps build muscles, cardiovascular health, improve lung function, which, since we breathe out most of our excess weight as carbon dioxide, don't laugh, it's true, look it up. Well, I did know that, actually. I have some background in biology, so I mean, where else is that going to go? Sweat? No, it's your body exhales carbon dioxide as a waste product, so that's where your stuff goes. Again, if you just think about it, you wouldn't even have to look it up. Where else is that weight going to go? So don't laugh, it's true, look it up. Is important for weight loss and break down junk proteins and a host of other health benefits. But weight loss isn't top of the list for most important reasons for obese people to exercise. In all reality, mobility is a more important reason for obese people to exercise. So there she's making the point that exercise is good for all of us, but initially for the obese or the morbidly obese, I'm sure, losing weight will help you with your mobility. And the more you can get around, the healthier you are. It's just a matter of fact. If you've got a 600-pound person who's confined to their bed, if you can get them mobile, they're going to start burning calories. Now, we're going to talk about burning calories in a little bit. I'm using that as a catch-all. And you'll see as we read through this that that particular stance on weight loss is not exactly the be-all and end-all. Candida makes people hungry too. It's a yeast bacteria that lives in your gut, says Old Curmudgeon. Yes, I have heard of Candida, and it's one of those bad microbes that, if it overruns you, can cause all kinds of health problems. Luckily, the body's gut normally keeps that kind of thing in check, but Candida can be a problem. All right, continuing. Oops, wrong page. All right, continuing with Rayvn Skye. Low-fat foods are a bad idea because they're all really high in sugar. I did state in that video that one of the things the obese people could look to were low-fat foods, which was completely wrong. As she says, low-fat foods, packaged foods, are really high in sugar to make up for the flavor that is lost by reducing the fat. That has been pointed out to me by a number of posters in that video, so I readily admit that that was my mistake. And I'm glad that it was pointed out to me by these well-meaning people. Again, I'm here to learn. I don't know everything, and if I ever made it sound like I did know everything, I apologize profusely, going all the way back to 2 years ago when I first started doing these videos. I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary of my first real video, so it's been that long. But again, low-fat food, packaged, processed low-fat food, high in sugar, so avoid it. Just like a lot of that gluten-free stuff, it's really not good for you either. And also it really hits your wallet. Very expensive stuff. There are easier ways to eat gluten-free than buying processed food off the shelves. People should be working toward whole, real foods. In another video, you said fat is bad. We'll get to that in a second. Maybe fat in your body, but not dietary fats, are not all that bad. Omega-3 and 6 fats are good. Medium-chain triglycerides are good. Think coconut oil. And even saturated fats found in animal are good in moderation. I did add some emphasis to these conversations to remind me on points that I wanted to hit. Also, I did correct some of the grammatical errors just to make it easier to read. Obviously, you are going to see some that I did not get, or some that I left in just because I did not feel that they ruined the flow of the thing. But other than that, there are some punctuation corrections, again, to make it easier to read, not because I'm trying to be a Nazi or excuse me, a grammar supremacist about such things. I think that's the proper phrase now. Trans fats aren't good, so think French fries from McDonald's and Burger King, trans fats. Although, actually, aren't they cutting those out, or have they already? I think that was a big thing a few years ago, that they were going to cut out trans fats, and people were complaining because the fries didn't taste as good. Come see, come ça. Body fat in certain places and in too high percentages isn't good. Calories in, calories out matter, but not as much as you think, as our bodies are governed by more than the laws of thermodynamics, but also the laws of biochemistry. I will make one quibble with that. When your body does chemical reactions, it's burning calories. But what she's saying is there are hormonal um, uh, uh, influences on your hunger and on your weight loss as well. And I had not mentioned any of those because, frankly, I was pretty much completely unaware of them until later videos. So I'm glad she brought it up. It's something that I've kind of corrected since these videos almost a year and a half ago. But still, these are excellent points, and I'm glad they're raised. As for feeling full, simple carbohydrates will cause hormone and blood sugar fluctuations that will induce fat people to eat more and feel hungry even if they are physically stuffed with food. It's much more complicated than you're making it seem. I understand that completely. And as we all probably know, processed sugars create spikes in insulin and hunger hormones. So you will, as she just said, you eat these sugars and your body's going to say, hey, I want more of that. And it will keep the hunger cycle going, even though, again, you're full. You shouldn't be eating that stuff. And so it, maybe, I don't know, maybe in moderation, like one piece of candy a day just to satisfy yourself. But you got to be careful because, again, she said, in obese people, that one bit of sugar can trigger an entire hunger cycle and it'll just keep going. And since they have poor eating habits, that will just lend itself to a worse situation. And old curmudgeon, the old Crisco oil animal fat is what used to make French fries delicious. Ah, yes, animal fat. So it was the trans fats. That's what I thought. So now on to my response. Now you'll see in these clips that I've made, it'll say 1 month ago. These actually happened about 3 months ago, maybe 2 months ago. But I copied them directly from the comments section of the YouTube channels that they appeared on. So they're as accurate as can be, again, aside from some punctuation corrections and the odd misspelling. I have not edited these in any significant way. So I respond. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of this excellent information, Rayvn. You're taking the time to post is very important to this channel. See, I said you are, as opposed to Y-O-U-R. So there, I screwed that up. And I'll be pinning this comment as soon as I finish my modest reply. I can't argue against any of your points, but I'd like to clarify a couple of things. First, I totally accept that I screwed up on the low-fat food comment. Several posters have pointed this out previously, and I'll again offer my mea culpa for it. Fat is bad, quote unquote, was definitely in reference to excess body fat. I don't promote cutting out food types, but consumption in moderation. I'm extremely grateful you debunked my thinking that exercise controls hunger. As I think about what you wrote, its obvious conclusion hit home hard. Thanks again for that. However, is weight loss as complicated as you make it out to be? I almost think you're putting so much detail into this that it's intimidating to the average person who is not a scientist. And this was my trying to absorb all of the information she gave me at the very beginning. Again, I was very much a thermodynamics guy. Fat, calories in, calories out. End of story. Eat in moderation and exercise more, and the weight comes down. But as she explains further, I had it partly right. Hey, Deity Paranormal. Good day to you, and good things as well. Hello, all of you. I'm glad to see everybody in the chat. We've started with the first 2 pages of this conversation with Rayvn Skye, where she's telling me the errors that I've made in previous videos on how I discuss losing weight. And you'll be able to see the first parts of this when the video posts to YouTube. And remember to scroll forward the first few minutes to get past the standby sign. I only had it up for about 6 minutes today instead of 10 minutes because I missed posting it at the proper time, so you don't have to go forward the full 10 minutes. And as I said, I almost think you're putting so much detail into this that it's intimidating to the average person who is not a scientist. And Rayvn replies. I'm sorry, I had one more point to go. I forgot to put a continued down there. To continue, my wife and I have lost a combined 200 pounds in the last 2.5 years through simple portion control without having to see nutritional professionals. Okay, I highlighted that and struck it because that is not actually correct. I don't know what I was thinking at the time I wrote that, but my wife has been on Jenny Craig since she started losing weight, and I think you could say that those are, at least in part, nutritional professionals. They help you with your diet plan. They help you pick the foods that you'll need through the rest of the week or so. So I think that qualifies as a nutritional professional, and so I have to correct myself right there. I should not have written that, and that was a mistake. To continue. Would you give me the concept that weight loss is accessible to virtually anyone who is not afflicted with a metabolic disorder? Certainly, some obese people require professional help, be it therapy for an eating disorder or surgery in extreme cases, but it's not that hard to lose weight if you're motivated and don't fall for fad diets and or nostrums, in my opinion. Thanks again for your post. It's incredibly thought-provoking. Cheers. And Rayvn replies. Weight loss isn't really complicated in my humble opinion, but it's not as simple as calories in, calories out, or eat less, exercise more. There are some really, really simple things you can tell people as shortcuts. 1. Shop around the outside ring of the grocery store. So I'm sure you all know when you go into the grocery store, into the middle shelves, that's where all the processed food is, the chips, the soda, the canned soups, things like that. But on the outside, as she's saying, this is produce, dairy, eggs, cheeses, and meats. These are all whole foods. And of course, a whole food is a food that is not combined with other ingredients. So if you're going to eat a whole meal, a whole food meal, you would have, say, a piece of sirloin, some carrots, cooked, raw, whatever, and maybe some corn, again, cooked on the cob, kernels, whatever, but not mixed with butter and salt or fat, unless it's some of the good fats, like she said, and we'll get into some other cooking tips later. So a whole food is not, you're going to eat the entire apple or the entire red pepper, but you're not going to create unhealthy combinations with those foods. At least that's how I understand it. Everybody feel free to blow me away in the chat or in the comments section after this video posts. Sometimes I'm just running right off the top of my hat. So, I could be wrong, as I have been here, as Rayvn Skye is pointing out. So, perfection is not my strong suit. 2. If it comes in colorful package, it's likely crap for you. Don't eat it. Except a few times a year because no one is perfect and Doritos are yummy, right? But don't go crazy and down a whole bag, LOL. That is a funny turn of the sentence, and I very much appreciated the humor. But she's right. Every now and then, you're going to have something that's bad for you. Just don't make a habit out of it and don't have too much. I think I've made this point in some previous videos. I love candy. I'm sorry. My body loves sugar, and every now and then I give it some. Lately, I've been very good. I've been eating a lot of fruits. I've got some plums and grapes and watermelon in the vegetable bin, and I take care of myself that way. But I do have some candied orange slices, those pure sugar and gelatin dusted in granulated sugar orange slices. I love those. And I used to eat a lot at a time. Circus peanuts were a big thing for a while too. I would eat a lot of them at a time. But I finally kicked off that, as Rayvn said in the earlier parts, that kind of sugar intake will increase your hunger cycle, and you'll just keep going and eating and eating and eating. And I would do that, even though I had my fill and probably got to the point where they didn't even taste good anymore. But that sugar rush just wanted to keep being fed. But now I'll have the odd orange slice, one, every day or so, just to pop one in my mouth. I think I've got maybe 2 or 3 left in the house, and that's it. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to have my wife or myself She doesn't do all the shopping, but have us pick up one more bag, just to again keep it in the house. But the temptation is there, so I've got to watch it. Love the bulk three. Love the bulk food store. It has nuts, sunflower seeds, and all kinds of great things. I won't go too heavy into specifics, but if you'd like more info, I could give it. Really cheap. I'm sorry for the little formatting error here. I don't know what happened to the margin. Um, don't tell people to eat less, quote unquote. I eat a lot, volume wise. People always wonder at how I am 5'3" and 120 pounds. I'm 35. I'm a mom. I'm a size 4-6 dress, if that helps at all. But eat constantly, but what you eat is far more important than how much you eat. I could eat one donut on top of my normal daily intake, and it wouldn't change how hungry I am in all reality, but in a week, I'd have enough excess calories to have gained a little over 1 pound, assuming 200 calories per donut and 1100 calories is 1 pound of body fat, and put enough simple carbohydrates, in this case processed sugars, into my body to upset my natural hunger hormone cycle, as we've just discussed. To continue. However, I could literally eat 10 cups of spinach on top of my normal daily intake and never have that effect. 10 cups of spinach is an insane amount of spinach no one could eat in a day, and it's about 70 calories. Pair some spinach, garlic, onions, that with an Italian sausage or some chicken cooked in a decent amount of olive oil. Fat makes you feel satisfied, and fat is necessary for several vitamins to be absorbed, and a small serving of a complex high fiber carb, and you're good to go. Boom. That makes. I just had lunch about an hour ago. I was working on this for a while, and I missed my normal lunchtime, but that makes me hungry just thinking about it. That is an awesome recipe, extremely simple. I suggest everyone make sure they copy and paste this into a text file somewhere and use it, because that is an incredible meal. And you should do that. You should absolutely do that. If you don't like spinach, try kale. Kale is extremely good for you. And it's very popular right now. It's easy to find. There are other green leafy vegetables that I can't think of at the moment. If you can afford it, slam some asparagus in there. Extremely good for you. It's kind of expensive, but there's nothing like asparagus to dress up a meal. Absolutely nothing, in my opinion. She emphasizes season everything and make it taste amazing. I'm big on that. I love Cajun seasoning. I love pepper. I love garlic, um, Tabasco, both regular and Chipotle. Just great stuff. Great stuff. You should see. Oh, and red peppers, crushed red pepper. You should see my mac and cheese that I make. Oh my God, it'll kill you, but it's good. I know mac and cheese isn't necessarily that good for you. There are some fats and there's some carbohydrates, but again, you got to watch how much. You should pair that with something to keep you from eating nothing but that, in my opinion. Again, if I'm wrong, tell me flat out. In the chat, Old Curmudgeon, I went to acupuncture and Oriental nutritionist, learned a lot. Came in handy when I reached a maturity level to use the knowledge I gained. That's awesome. And Ray Kimbrell, is that what is in the inner side of the grocery store? I start with the veggies and fruits, and that's it. Good for you, Ray. You're smarter than the average bear. Good for you. And Old Curmudgeon, I'm craving wild wings lately. Planning to have some tonight. Those orange slices are deadly. Same here for portion control. I have bags of stuff unfinished where before I would eat the entire bag. Oh, I completely agree with you. You should see our cabinet right now since we started eating healthier. There's some real crap in there, like caramel sauce for ice cream. We don't have any ice cream, and the caramel sauce is just sitting there. One of these days, it's going to get thrown out. But for now, it's sitting there. There are bags of chips. I was on a biscuit kick for a while. And when I say biscuits, I mean the snack biscuits, chicken in a biscuit specifically, which I adore. But again, it's a lot of salt. You got to be careful about such things. Processed flour, blah 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 blah. So there you go. When you're eating well, you find yourself not going after those bad foods that you had been in the past. So I think we're going to go through another, as I like to call it, cabinet tornado pretty soon. And Ray Kimball started eating rice cakes. They taste great. Love spinach. No seasoning anymore. No seasoning. Interesting. See, I don't have the taste buds, enough taste buds to do without seasoning. I need flavor in my food. I don't taste food well enough to be able to be satisfied by its simple, except for something like asparagus, something that's savory. that can really kick in the taste buds. But even then with asparagus, I'll probably throw in, like Rayvn said, some onions and some garlic to dress it up a little bit in some olive oil. But I will eat just cooked spinach or asparagus, and I have eaten raw asparagus right off the ground. Just rinsed it with my canteen and chomped down, and that is a wonderful experience, an absolutely wonderful experience. That was probably the best part of being in Boy Scouts right there. Good things. Lost 12 kilo, around 24 pounds. Yeah, 24, 28 pounds altogether. Um, I think in a year by eating at a certain time, 7, 10, 12, uh, 2 p.m., 4 p.m., and 6 p.m., most of the time, and eating more veggies and fruit and less chocolate, and by being careful. See, now that's smart. It's like Rayvn had just said in a previous thing. You can eat all the time, but you just have to eat the right things. And in my previous videos, and I think in more recent videos, I was more on the eat in moderation kind of thing. You know, eat what's healthy, um, and if you do have to eat something that's bad for you, don't eat a lot of it. Um, and you know, as you get better, you'll stop eating those things more and more, or less and less, I should say. But I still was getting it wrong on that whole part about moderation. I was not putting it um, broadly enough to make sense because I was still thinking just calories in, calories out. And as Rayvn's already pointed out, it's not that simple. I thought it was, and we're going to get into more detail on that in just a second. But yes, that's often. And good things once more. Regarding how much I eat every dinner, I didn't even start exercising more, just got more creative regarding food. Yes, I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Um, I understand exactly how that goes. It changed for me after a while, and like I say, I'll get into that specifically a little later on in this. So to continue, I'll repeat that first sentence. Season everything and make it taste amazing. You'll never know what hit you if I cook you a meal. You certainly wouldn't realize it's supposed to be quote unquote healthy. Smiley or a little tongue-in-cheek face. When you tell fat people to eat less, quote unquote, they think in volume. Most people do. My mom likes to give obese patients lists of all the foods they can eat as much of as they want of. And in hospital, they go crazy the first week or so and order tons and tons and tons of those things. But once they don't have the blood sugar spikes and crashes and their hunger hormones reset, suddenly their appetite goes way down and they eat normal portion sizes. It's really amazing to see. And it's I can't think of what emoji that is. It's the two carrots on top of a underscore. Just kind of a earnest face, I guess. And I'm describing these in case you're listening and you can't see all this. If you're reading along, pardon me for the bludgeoning of the emojis. Lastly, sadly, people have to want help. I have emphasized that time and time again in my videos, and I'm glad to see she feels the same way. Watching people kill themselves with food is extremely hard to do, but sometimes it's just ugh, frustrating and sad, and it's one of the reasons I hate the quote-unquote fat acceptance movement so much. It's like accepting a suicide movement, frowny face, and that is the content of a lot of my more recent videos and the You Can't Ask That Fat videos, obviously. Some more of those like that, the Riley J. Dennis video. Fat acceptance is a horrible, horrible blight on society. And I have had people ask me in the comment section, why do you care that they're fat? You know, it's none of your business. Why can't you just let people live the way they want to live? And my reply is pretty consistent. I don't care that they're fat necessarily. I have a lot of fat and obese friends, but I worry about them. I worry about their health. That's what I'm concerned about, is their health. To add to that, the people who appear in my videos who do not want help, who feel they are fine, and not only that, they go so far as to tell the rest of society, the quote-unquote normal or healthy society, that we have to accept them and respect them as obese people, which is flat out wrong, which is flat out disingenuous, which is flat out crazy. It goes against millennia, or I mean, I should say hundreds of thousands of years of socialization in human populations. As I say in the videos, if you're overly fat or overly thin, you're going to create a response in the midbrain almost. I shouldn't say midbrain, but in the dark reaches of your brain, where your culture is kind of ingrained into you, your societal aspects are ingrained into you, and you're going to react. You're going to react to that. You're going to say, "Wow, that person isn't healthy," and you're going to want them to be healthier. In the case of an underweight person, you're going to want them to eat more. Um, and in some cases, that's all they need to do. And in other cases, they do eat all the time and they just can't gain weight. I've posted with several, or at least a dozen people like that in the sections of my videos who are underweight, but they can't get enough weight on, and they get comments from people not too infrequently about how they need to gain weight. On the flip side of that, the obese. These are people who are using obviously way more resources, excuse me, than they should be. In today's society, they're consuming more food, which is in abundance, so it's not necessarily a critical thing, but still they are overreaching. They're consuming more medical costs, obviously because of all the comorbidities that come with obesity, and they're also, for example, they are cutting down on productivity in the workforce because obese people get sick more often and they miss more work. Therefore, they're cutting down on productivity and they're adding burdens on the people who are healthy, who can come into work every day and work a full shift. That's just pure mechanics when it comes down to productivity. There's nothing more to be said about it. And just to emphasize again what Rayvn said at the ending there, it's like accepting a suicide movement, frowny face, and I couldn't agree more. So, we ended that conversation on the You Can't Ask That Fat video, and now we're moving on to the Riley Dennis video, which is titled "Weight Loss is a Lie," says R.J. Dennis. Let me tell you about her lies. Now I have to add a little comment here. For the longest time, that title was "Let me tell you about his lies," even though in the video I was very, very circumspect about using Riley's feminine pronoun. Say what you will about Riley being a transgender person or just being a guy who likes to look feminine because he likes women, and hadn't at that point done a lot to look more feminine. But since this video, I understand Riley has undergone some facial deconstruction to make his cheekbones less prominent and his chin less prominent. It's again, I respect Riley as a person, and if she wants to be referred to by feminine pronouns, fine, I'll do that. I don't respect Riley as a YouTuber because I think much of what she puts on is completely out of bounds, but she has freedom of speech, so all I can do is respond. And this is what I did with the video that Rayvn responded to. Good things in the chat. Regarding how much I eat at every dinner, I didn't even start exercising more. Oh, I'm sorry, I already did that. Ray Kimbrell started eating raw broccoli. Great for cleansing. Ah, cleansing. Cleansing. I personally hate broccoli. Can't stand it. But again, that's me. And old curmudgeon, thank you for the lead on educating myself on hunger hormones. Never heard of them before. Fills a gap and explains a lot. Yeah, we'll get into that in a little more detail in just a second, curmudgeon. Rayvn does an excellent job of fleshing things out, not to use a metaphor that isn't consistent with weight loss. Big Lowe's green tea and some locally sourced honey. Wonderful stuff. So, Rayvn responds, dude. That's how it's written, dude. 500 calories a day. Okay, now that references something I had said in a video about reducing your caloric intake by 500 calories a day in order to lose 1 to 1.5 pounds a week. As we'll get into the specifics of that, you can see where I was quite wrong about where I was going with it. As she says, that is a 25% reduction from the standard 2,000 calories. You can't call 500 calories a 10% reduction without knowing the number of calories someone usually consumes. Um, I don't remember saying 10%, but if Rayvn references it, I'm sure it was in the video. Um, I haven't viewed that video in a little while, so I'm not completely up to date on everything I said. But she has been accurate in everything so far, so I have no reason to understand, or I have no reason to believe that she misquoted me in this regard. It's just something I didn't remember saying, um, because it's obviously on its face. If it's a 10% reduction in calories, 500, then you're eating 5,000 calories a day. So that was at least bad math on my part, at the very least. You can't call 500 calories a 10% reduction without knowing the number of calories someone usually consumes. It would have to be 5,000 calories a day, as I just said. And more importantly, 1 pound of fat is 1,100 calories. At 500 calories a day in a week, you'd theoretically be losing 3,500 calories, which is more than 3 pounds, which is too much. I think I've said quite often, 1.5 pounds for regular weight loss per week is what you're shooting for. So again, I was wrong on my math. Except that this is not how any of this works, her emphasis, because weight loss goals should be determined by body fat percentage, and for extremely obese patients, 30 to 40 pounds in a month could be reasonable, while for other people, 3 pounds in a week could be totally unreasonable, and 500 less calories a day would be completely unhealthy. Absolutely, absolutely. She's completely right there. This is something that I did not know concerning weight loss in obese people, how much they would lose in a week if they followed a proper diet regimen, and also what happens to someone when they get towards their goal weight, which I'm approaching quite quickly now. I know I keep teasing it, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Yes, how's that Adam's apple? I'm not going to comment on the Adam's apple, Ray. You can go check it out for yourself. I'm not going anywhere near it. No, no pun intended. So Rayvn continues. Oh, and unless you address the sugar intake problem most obese people have, the person's body is going to respond with excessive hunger and a slowing of basic metabolic rate, which will inevitably mean they gain it all back and then some, because no one can live in a state of constant hunger forever surrounded by food. And I completely agree with that, and I apologize to everyone if I had ever said in my videos or given even a hint of an inkling that I wanted you to be hungry as you went throughout the day by cutting back calories. I never should have implied that. I never should have said it, because as she said, you go around hungry, your body's going to react in exactly the wrong direction as it should. You need to be sated, so your body's metabolism keeps going, as opposed to when you're hungry, because then your metabolism drops because your body's going into, as she related earlier, starvation mode, which goes completely against all of your work if you're trying to lose weight. So don't be hungry, kids. Don't be hungry. And I respond, okay, I was wrong to base that 500 calorie number off the 2,000 calorie standard. It's true that anyone consuming the standard daily amount wouldn't need to reduce intake, increase output to maintain a healthy weight. So there I am leaning on the calories in, calories out portion again. Again, I've read what she said, but I haven't really taken it all in yet. I'm still kind of catching up with what she's saying. And one of the reasons I'm doing this video is for not only all of you to know what was said, but for me to review what was said in one tight little package, and I can have it as a reference. Because as you may know, if you have a YouTube channel, your comments can get really strung out, and you'll lose track of where they are. You can, go into manage all comments and search for a particular keyword, but unless it's a very specific keyword, you're going to wind up getting a lot of results. So by going back and copy and pasting these into this document, I'm doing myself a favor, as well as bringing it all to your attention. So it's definitely a win-win here. As I continue, my videos, however, aren't about normal people. They reference the overweight/obese. For instance, I'm relatively inactive and weigh 188 pounds. According to the formula I referenced in this video, and the title of that article that I got the formula from is how to use your BMR to lose weight from livestrong.com, and the link to that article is in the description, as are the links to the videos that we're referencing today. My daily caloric intake required to stay at 188 pounds. Right now I'm at 190. I've kind of popped up a little bit. More on that. Doing the basic math, it's obvious I can afford to cut 444 calories out of my diet and easily lose weight. Again, my thinking, calories in, calories out, just pure thermodynamics. Someone who's obese, like Whitney Thor, my touchstone, good old Whitney Thor, as I said in the video, can afford to cut over 1,000 calories a day from her diet. And down here, at the bottom of the page where I says the devil is in the details, that is highlighted because I really don't know why I said that. It really adds nothing to the conversation. Kind of a silly thing to throw in there. I think if you took it in a particular way, it could look like I'm trying to poke at her, saying, "Hey, you're wrong here," and that's not my intention at all. So I am trying to explain my position in hopes of making it clear what I was trying to do, but I'm in no way saying, "Hey, you're wrong," and I need to set you straight. It's not my intention. So again, the devil is in the details. That was just wrong. I shouldn't have said that, or excuse me, written that. I'm kind of a stickler about the whole said versus written thing. Now, this gets me to the point I've been teasing this whole time. About, let me see, a little over a year and a half ago is when I was finally diagnosed as having a completely inadequate testosterone production in my body. In fact, it was basically zero. My testosterone at my age should have been right around 400 as a good median level. And when it was finally discovered what it was through a completely insane chain of events that had nothing to do with actually trying to diagnose my illness, and I was very ill, very ill. I found out that my testosterone level was 82 at that point. And by the time I got help, it was probably close to zero. Because I found out in June, and I wasn't able to start seeing an endocrinologist until November. So it's a specialty that's hard to see someone in. Yeah, I started on hormone replacement therapy, and it took a little while, probably maybe 3 months before my levels started coming up in a way that was therapeutic. And at the time, when I started on HRT, I probably weighed about 280 pounds. While my testosterone production had shut down, my metabolism had shut down. And so everything I ate was fat to my body. Everything went to fat. It was not able to use the insulin properly and burn in fact, I might have been insulin resistant for all I know because of all the weight I was gaining. But so I wasn't burning the calories I was eating. And my hunger hormones, as Rayvn has pointed out before, and I can now use in my example, were elevated because I was eating a lot of crap. Trying to keep my metabolism going by throwing in more food, and it was bad food, so I was just exacerbating the problem. So I was 280 when I started doing hormone replacement therapy, and I slimmed down without exercise to 190 pounds. I was 188 a week ago, but I'm up to 190 now. So I slimmed down to 190 pounds just by changing my diet and my metabolism rising to a normal level. But, and here's what I've been teasing, I'm not losing weight anymore. I have come within 10 to 12 pounds of my goal, or 10 to 15, I should say, now that I'm at 190. That's the hardest part to lose. Because now that my body is thinking, I'm guessing, I haven't talked to Rayvn about this, so I'm kind of throwing this out there, but my body's basically going, hey, we got this. And my hunger, and so my activity level wasn't anywhere near really good. So I needed to increase that. So last week, my wife and I started doing water aerobics, which I was doing regularly until I got sick. And it took me, I was probably sick for about 4 years before I got helped. At least 3 years. No one knew what was going on. No one, in fact, no one cared. I'm surrounded by bad doctors, just horrible doctors. That's why I have to go to Chicago to get treatment. So the weight came off until I got down to this level, and now I'm adding exercise into the program to help things go down. But as I told my wife, because I learned from Rayvn, as we're exercising, we're going to want to eat more. So I'm trying to add more protein to my diet to help with building muscle as we exercise. And I may try to do some bicycling in the future as well, and see if my hips can handle it, because I have artificial hips and a bad back. So we'll see what happens. Catching up on the chat. Old curmudgeon. Recently, I started Googling calories of what I eat just out of curiosity, finding it fairly easy to stop eating to keep calories under 2,000 a day, even with a 400-calorie ice cream cone. That's interesting. Now, as we've said, though, with Rayvn, be careful that you go below 2,000, because that can actually start to harm your body to a point. If you go above, if a man goes below, I think 1,800, then he is starting to do damage to his body. And I think a woman has to keep a calorie intake of around 1,500. It's in one of my videos. I think it's in the Riley video, so you can look that up, or you can just Google, minimum daily caloric intake, and that'll pop up. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying you might want to reconsider going below 2,000 calories, which I had previously recommended, and incorrectly, as it turns out. So again, I was wrong, and I admit it. And thankfully, Rayvn Skye was there to point these things out. We all owe her a debt of gratitude. I'll tell you right now, she has been an incredible aid to this channel in just the short time that she interacted with me. So definitely check out her channel if you can, and help her out. Perseus Gold. Hey, Perseus. I rarely eat more than 1,500 calories in a day, but still get all my vitamins and minerals. If you don't work in a factory or work site of some kind, like most people did when those guides were written. Now, that's fascinating. That's fascinating. I had never considered, excuse me, I went out of frame. I had never considered that those standards were not updated. That's good to know. That's good to know. And it reminds me of, which we've discussed before, the food pyramid from the 70s. Grains, eggs and meat. How it was arranged, and it was completely bogus, because the agricultural community had pushed the FDA into using grains as the base of the pyramid in order to boost sales. When in fact grains should not be the base; they should be nearer to the top, a lower amount. So what we know and what is real, as Perseus knows all too well, are not always the same thing, and I appreciate him putting that in there. Yeah, old curmudgeon. Don't forget that BS food pyramid we all grew up with. Yikes. There you go, sir, right there. I'm sorry I didn't read that before I went on my rant. You would have saved all of us a lot of time. And old curmudgeon, I agree, really not that difficult at all, and I burn up 300 to 500 calories 4 to 5 times a week by walking. That is great. I want to get my wife walking, but unfortunately she has a bad knee from her time when she was heavily overweight. It stretched out the ligaments in her knee, and now it makes it difficult for her to walk. She's got some exercises that she's doing to try to tighten those ligaments back up, to strengthen them, and hopefully once those are completed, we'll be able to start doing some at least thrice weekly walks. I would like to do daily, but we'll see what happens. Now, I could do them myself, of course, but I hate doing things without her now that she's retired. I really like to spend all the time with her that I can. I'm just that kind of guy. Perseus Gold, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and kale all boost testosterone in men if eaten daily. I did not know that. I did not know that at all. That's fascinating. Now, I can't eat broccoli or Brussels sprouts because I hate them. Sorry, I just hate them. But kale I will eat, especially in soups. I love it in soups, but as some of you will notice again from Rayvn's recipe earlier in the video, and I highly recommend you all watch that to catch that recipe. Kale would be an excellent addition to a meal for me. The rest of you, broccoli and Brussels sprouts, go for it. Old curmudgeon, interesting because I crave food when I'm below 1,800 at the end of the day. Yeah, see that could be. And everybody has a slightly different basic metabolic rate than everybody else, as was stated in the Riley video. So it may be something for you, curmudgeon, where you would need that more than Perseus. Um, but it is something to look for. So yeah, try to think about, like Rayvn said earlier, eating foods that are healthy and not necessarily high in calories. Um, Certain vegetables, certain fruits, and keep that going in your metabolism, as opposed to dropping below that 1800, or at least you'll keep yourself full, and your metabolism will keep going. Again, this is per Rayvn. This is stuff that I've just learned through interacting with her that couple months ago in the videos comment section. I'm not saying I'm the expert on this. She is. I'm just giving you what I've picked up from her over this discussion. And Perseus, I couldn't even imagine eating 2,000 calories. I fucking hate eating in the first place. Such a waste of my time. That's fascinating. And Perseus, I know how active you are, how much you do during a day. It's just your intellectual output alone is stupefying. So I can imagine how much you move around. That's very fascinating. I'm glad you put that in there. So Rayvn responds. Okay, but as I've tried to tell you, excuse me, this is not just calories in, calories out. And see, again, there I was hung up on thermodynamics. She had explained it once, but I really hadn't taken it in yet. The closer you get to a goal weight, the slower you will lose weight. And that's, boom, that's what I'm talking about. I hit 190. I'm like within 12 to 15 pounds of my goal weight, and now I'm not losing weight anymore. So I have to up my activity. I'm eating properly, so I'm not throwing bad calories down my throat. So I need to compensate with exercise. That's all I can do. I think I could also, as she pointed out earlier, eat more, just eat better. Right now, because of a sleep disorder, I've only been eating about twice a day because I can't get up before noon or 1 o'clock. Recent change in my medication seems to be helping this. This morning I was up at 9, which was a record for the last 4 months. So perhaps I will be able to start eating more regularly and keeping that food intake going. As was stated earlier, let me find that again. Good Things eats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day, between 2 and 3 hours apart. So that is definitely doable, and I should give that a try. And Bear, hey, hello. I'm sorry you couldn't get here earlier, but I'm glad you made it. And as you know, this will post to YouTube, so you'll be able to catch the rest of it. But I'm very glad that you were able to make it to the chat. You're always an excellent addition to it, and I'm happy to see you, and I'm sure everyone else is as well. And as Ray says, pound that like button, people. Get in there. Subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell next to the subscription tab so you'll get all notifications. Make sure you select all notifications when you hit the bell. That way you'll find out what I'm doing and when it's going to happen. Back to Rayvn. And again, check out her channel. You won't just lose weight steadily. It doesn't make a huge difference what your BMR is, and you cannot tell someone's BMR by their weight, as you yourself said in the beginning of this video, and then you went off on how Whitney's BMR is 1,000 calories a day more than yours. I have to take exception to that. Again, the formula for determining BMR is in the link. I forgot to put it. I'll find it. I'll find it in the Riley video, and I'll put it in the link to this. There is a formula for that. There was a chart. I did not just use age, and if I did, I only used it because that's what the chart drew. I was not making it up as I went along. So I will take issue with that contradiction there. As I understand it, actually I can't remember the formula off the top of my head, but it is in that video, and I did link to it. So I will make sure. Let me make a note. Where's my pen? Darn cats. I got a pencil. Pencil. Old school. From a Texas Rangers game back in the 90s when the Arlington Stadium was first opened up. I used this for a scorecard. I love keeping score. Oh, there's my pen. Okay, link. Pen ran out. There we go. Link to BMR chart. And Perseus, a good routine that has worked for me is making 3 days worth of lunch and dinner meals at once and storing Tupperware helps scheduling eating. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Making meals in bulk is an excellent idea, something I haven't discussed before. Um, it's hard to cook single servings, and it's inefficient as all get out. So to make a batch and store it properly is a wonderful idea, and everybody should look into that. That is an absolute nail on the nose. And Ira Bear at Perseus, I do something fairly similar. Keeps me from eating out. Oh, yes. Now that my wife's retired, we do not eat out as much as we used to, um, just to save on the budget. But it's also saving on the pounds. It's going to make that exercise much more effective. Now, if we do eat out, it's going to be something pretty good for us, like steak or let me see, steak is one. Say a healthy sandwich is another. Soups, things like that. We avoid lots of carbs. Um, I will admit, I just had a bunch of pizza Tuesday at a birthday party. I was not faithful to my body, and I ate one of the worst foods for it you can possibly eat. Now, fresh ingredients, but still, it's pizza. Pizza can really beat you up. So I'm going to pay for that. That's probably why I'm up to 190 right now instead of 188. And Perseus helps portion control and maintaining a routine at the same time. Perfect. Old curmudgeon. I cook a full turkey breast without wings or legs. Make sandwiches. An awesome idea. An awesome idea. You have to tell me, do you put any kind of cheese on those sandwiches? I'm a huge um, Swiss cheese fan. And also, oh gosh, there's one other I can't think of at the moment. Darn it. But not cheddar. I'm not a big cheddar fan. Oh, pepper jack. Big pepper jack fan. So I'd love to know what you put on those sandwiches, curmudgeon. Um, okay, to continue. Also, as a woman married to a Chinese man, I referenced stir fry in my video, and she comes back at me. Stir fry is not healthier. It's still battered chicken fried in vegetable oil, and the sauces are filled with salt and sugar. Honestly, dude. Okay, now I'm gonna have to take issue with that because that is his stir fry recipe. I am not thinking at all that the only kind of stir fry you can make is breaded chicken and sauces. Certainly, unless I miss my guess, stir fry is a cooking style. You use a stir fry skillet, you throw in a little oil, you throw in vegetables, brown some meats, and boom, you've got your stir fry. I don't know why she thought that I only meant her husband's stir fry. So that's one of the very few times in this entire conversation where I felt that Rayvn and I were at cross purposes, that I felt she was not right, that she was wrong. Okay, I'm going to say it. I thought she was wrong about stir fry. Y'all can correct me in the chat. Throw that on there and let me know what you think about stir fry. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe what she's talking about is stir fry, flat out, period. And what I'm thinking of is something else entirely. Say Szechuan, maybe. I don't know. Please throw it at me. Um, and Let's see, old curmudgeon, no cheese, but mayo, pepper, and oregano. Oh, it sounds delicious. I love peppered turkey. I love peppered everything. When I cook my steaks, it's almost always. Is au poivre is French for peppered? I can never remember what that's supposed to mean. Maybe it means a sauce. I kind of guessed. Um, and Ray's lactose intolerant. I'm sorry to hear that, sir. I hope the hullabaloo over soy milk and almond milk versus cow's milk is not causing you any grief. I guess milk sales are down. Cow's milk sales are down. So the farmers are saying, hey, stop letting those other people call their stuff milk, so we can differentiate, excuse me, ourselves from them, and maybe we'll keep our share of the market. I don't know how that's going to work, but that's what they're talking about. Ira Bear, I'm a huge mature red cheddar fan. Oh, red cheddar. Ah, that is good stuff. I will say that. See, living in Wisconsin, I have access to all the cheeses for the most part. I find I can stay within my daily calorie count and have some in an omelet. Keeps my cravings for it down. Oh, that's wonderful. That's a great idea, Ira Bear. I love omelets. Old curmudgeon, I count it to be 400 calories per sandwich and a meal full of carbs, near or about 45 carbs. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Percy Gold, I make a 6-bean succotash with red and yellow onion, garlic, Brussels sprouts, and my blend of curry. You lost me at Brussels sprouts. Succotash, I've always had a problem with because of the beans. I'm not a big bean fan. In fact, if my chili has beans in it, I refuse to eat it. I'm very Texas in that regard, as you can tell. So that's my thing. Maybe succotash means, um, no, you said 6 beans, so I'm sure there are a number of beans in there that I just couldn't stand. Butter beans, lima beans. Oh my God, I shiver at the thought. Old curmudgeon, I like pepper jack and mild cheddar slices on a fried egg sandwich. Oh, very nice. No soy, boy Ray. Okay, all right. I got you. I got you. No soy for you. Noted. Now, here is the part where I really, really disagree with Rayvn Skye. She says, honestly, dude, and I've emphasis added here, all of these text highlights are my doing. Obviously, there's no text highlights in YouTube comments. But here. Honestly, dude, it just seems like maybe you should stop giving out weight loss advice, or at the very least put a disclaimer on your videos that admits you have zero formal education on the topic. I find that insulting. I find that insulting. That is saying to me that I'll never learn anything about it, that I can't grow as a content producer, and that if you don't have letters after your name distinguishing your knowledge on a particular subject, you can't make YouTube videos. I never said, and if I have, call me out on it, because I don't believe I did, that I had formal training in nutrition. I was going off things that I knew and what I considered at the time to be common sense. I have learned through Rayvn Skye that I was wrong, and I appreciate that, and I'm doing this video in order to tell everyone this is where I was wrong, as pointed out by Rayvn Skye, and this is where I have found out more information, and again, as pointed out by Rayvn Skye. And I'm eternally grateful for that, and I'm sure you all are as well, because all of this information will only help make this channel better. That's all it will do. But to take a shot at me like that, when she's been quite respectful the entire time, I found to be pretty egregious. And Rayvn, if you watch this video, I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm not saying that nothing that you said was obviated because of this comment. Far from it. I took umbrage with this one particular statement. I don't feel it was fair, and I think if every YouTuber had to have a formal education in order to talk about what they do on their channel, YouTube would have 2 channels and makeup channels. 2 political channels, I should say, and makeup channels. That would be it. So give me a break. Give me a break. Ray, I have to shop twice a week. Oh, okay, I understand that as you're going through the food. We shop about once a week. Percy Skull, my curry is turmeric, black pepper, cayenne pepper, parsley, rosemary. Tastes bad, but it noticeably boosted my health. That sounds delicious, man. That sounds absolutely delicious, except for the beans. Ira Bear, thank you for that. Percy Scold, it's the rosemary that ruins it. It's okay without it, but rosemary's too good for brain health. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. I'll have to keep that in mind. Old curmudgeon, demeaning as hell. I'll leave that. I won't. I appreciate the comment. Ira Bear, turmeric I've heard is very good for you. I have as well. Yes, turmeric every chance I get, absolutely. I'm glad you guys are bringing. Here, I'm going to write that down. Turmeric. I have heard great things about it, but I keep forgetting to put it in the cabinet. So I really appreciate you all bringing that up. Perseus, thanks so much. And Ira Bear for that mention as well. Okay, to continue. Now, this is Rayvn moving on to the Riley J. Dennis video, which, as I've said before, is titled Weight Loss is a Lie, says R.J. Dennis. Let me tell you about her lies. And again, to emphasize, that video said his lies for quite a while until I had, strangely enough, 3 or 4 people within 1 week come at me and tell me that I was misgendering Riley And it was only the last one who bothered to tell me where I was misgendering her, which was in the title. Um, I understand why that was seen as insulting. It is insulting to Riley, who sees herself as a woman, as a trans woman, and I apologize profusely for that. I guess there was one instance in the video itself around the 34 minute mark where I said him instead of her, or he instead of she, which I regret. But in my defense, when you look at Riley in that video, Riley does look like a man. And so it's not too hard to see how I could have slipped up. Again, I regret it, and I meant no offense by it whatsoever. But I think I do have a bit of wiggle room on that. Turmeric is much more, Percy's Gold, turmeric is much more bioavailable if consumed with equal parts black pepper. All right, I'll add that in there. Turmeric plus black pepper. Man, you guys are awesome. I love these live chats. I just love them. I know I haven't done a standalone video in a while. I expected to do one with this, but it's working out much more in everyone's favor, I think. This is awesome. Percy's Gold, I like turmeric in my tomato soup. Oh, that's a great idea. I have not made tomato soup in ages. That's a great idea. I'm going to have to do that. Old Curmudgeon, I make a curry dish with extra turmeric at least once a week. Oh, you guys are killing me. I'm getting hungrier and hungrier. Ira Bear, I've got a tiny college fridge, so I stop 3 or 4 times a week for fresh vegetables. Oh, the college fridge. I'll tell you a story about my first college fridge. Um, I had just opened a checking account the week before I went to school my freshman year, my first semester. And, um, and my mom thought it would be a great idea for me to get a mini fridge for the dorm room. I didn't know if my roommate was going to get one, but I just decided I'd do that. Um, and the guy, this was so long ago that I wrote a check. And I didn't have enough money in my account to cover the rental. I think it was $35 for the semester, or for the year, actually. Um, yeah, yeah, that's how long ago it was. And so I wrote the check very reluctantly because I'm a real stickler for rules. I believe things are done the right way or they're not done. And if I break a rule, I fret about it for quite a while. That's one of the reasons this video is so important, because I was screwing up, and I want to fix that. But anyway, so I wrote a bad check, and I begged my mom to drive home. It was like 3 hours from college to where I grew up, and I begged her, drive home as fast as you can and cover this check. I was so worried that it was going to clear, or hit the bank, I should say, before the money got there, that my first check would be a bounced check, and my credit would be ruined forever. I wasn't very smart back then. Not that I'm, not that I'm much smarter now, but yeah, that was my big worry. My first day at college was making sure my check didn't bounce. So, but my mom did cover it, and all was good. So it was a good little fridge too. It worked forever. I liked it. I only lived in the dorms 1 year, and then I moved off campus after that. Um, it worked out for me. It worked out well. Percy's Gold. I use rosemary essential oil almost daily. Eat it several times a week. I have never tried essential oils. I'm going to have to shop for that. It significantly improves the speed at which I recall information, and I notice I'm slower when I don't use it for a week or so. Okay, there's another one I'm going to write down. Rosemary. It's a long word. Essential. Another long word. Oil. Rosemary essential oil. I'm sorry my voice drops off when I go to write on something. The mic just doesn't carry that far, I'm sure. So thank you for that, Perseus. Um, um, Hey Anita, Anita, I asked you the last time in the chat, and I don't think I read your response, so forgive me if I'm asking you to repeat myself. But would you find a live stream that started 3 hours earlier to be of any benefit to you? I've gotten a couple comments from people who are east of you who would like me to start earlier so they don't have to stay up so late during the live streams. And I would love to accommodate them. I couldn't do it regularly, but because of my schedule, but I could do it probably every month or so. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Please put that in the chat. I would very much appreciate it. Old curmudgeon black pepper activates the turmeric, I believe. Yeah, I did write that down. Great. Ira Bear, you've got two roommates. So you are sharing. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That little fridge and all those people. That door must be getting open constantly. I'm surprised it's able to keep things cold. It's not that small. Oh, okay. All right. See, I was talking about a college dorm fridge, and that's initially what I thought you had meant, Ira Bear. Obviously, our ideas of mini fridge differ because in my mind there are two fridges. There's the mini fridge that fits in a dorm room, and then there's the side-by-side Kenmore that I've got in the kitchen right now. Those are my two sizes of fridges. And I would love ultimately to get a freezer, a chest freezer downstairs to store large amounts of meat and vegetables so I can buy in bulk. Because obviously that's much cheaper than buying one steak at a time. And I do love to grill and get steaks out there. Well, that reminds me, I got to fill my propane tank. It's empty. Okay, so back to Rayvn Skye. Talking about the Riley video. And again, let's see. Did I already read all that? Yes, I did. I did read all that. Okay, so I finished that page. To hit the last sentence, I was talking about calories in, calories out, cutting 500 calories a day. And she says that is not how any of this works because weight loss goals should be determined by body fat percentage, and for extremely obese patients, 30 to 40 pounds in a month could be reasonable, while for other people, 3 pounds in a week could be totally unreasonable, and 500 fewer calories a day could be completely unhealthy. Okay, we covered all that. So this continues. Oh, and unless you address the sugar intake problem most obese people have, the person's body is going to respond with excessive hunger and a slowing of basic metabolic rate. That is what we've discussed previously, the sugar and hunger hormone cycle that kicks in as your insulin spikes and your body's metabolism ramps up to eat that excess sugar. Your body's going to say, hey, we're eating. Let's keep going. As I understand it, I could be wrong, but that's how I understand it, that the brain kicks in and saying, hey, let's go. And so you're eating and eating and eating on the sugar to keep the hunger cycle from falling off the map. And as she stated previously, obese people will eat those kinds of sugars and keep their hunger cycle going, and they'll gain weight. But once they start eating the right food for about a week, even if they're eating as much of it as possible, that sugar craving goes down, and then their satiety levels are easily reached, and they start eating pretty much a normal amount. And as she said in that previous bit, we're talking about losing 30 to 40 pounds a week for a morbidly obese or obese person. I'm maybe morbidly obese, maybe not obese, it would be proper for that. 30 to 40 pounds a week for a morbidly obese person, whereas someone like myself or any of you might be lucky to lose a pound and a half a week, unless you're more towards the obese side. You might be losing more than that. But someone who's just in the overweight range of BMR, probably a pound and a half would be about average. That's what it pretty much was for me, as once I got a hormone replacement therapy and started coming down. It was about a pound and a half, maybe 2 pounds a week tops, but it was steady, absolutely steady until I hit 190, 188, and then boop, plateau. So exercise for hat. Okay, slowing of BMR, which will inevitably mean they gain it all back and then some, because no one can live in a state of constant hunger forever surrounded by food. Absolutely. And this is a point I've made when, like in this video that she's commenting on, the Riley video. Riley talks about how diets don't work. Well, diets don't work because most diets, in fact, pretty much every diet that's going to be in a book except for maybe a couple, like Atkins. That was one that was actually beneficial to some people. Um, every diet has you cutting something out totally almost, or severely limiting it. And then usually there's some kind of portion size involved too. So you do walk around hungry. And as referenced by some of the obese people in my videos, they talk about going on diets and being hungry. Well, they're on the wrong diet. They're on the wrong diet. They should be eating regularly, um, as was mentioned above. Maybe 5, 6 times a day, if you can manage it. Good food in good quantities, and keep your metabolism running. Keep it going. That's where I've kind of fallen behind right now. I think my metabolism slowed down, but now that I'm sleeping, at least this last night I slept more regularly. Hopefully I'll be able to start eating more regularly too. Um, oh, okay, Anita. Thank you. I will mark that down. I will mark that down. 1 p.m. start. Okay. Great. I'm so glad you were able to respond to that. I look forward. Maybe um, maybe the next one. And I hope to do one next week. If not next week, because I've got a very busy weekend right now. But if I don't get to it next week, if I don't have a live stream next week, I should say, the week following, I will do it at 1 p.m. My time, so 3 hours earlier than standard, and we'll try that out, see how it works. So everybody, be on notice. Either next week or week after, the next live stream will start at 1 p.m. Central Time, U.S. So set your clocks. I will try to give you as much advance notice as possible on that, but we will be doing that. So look forward to it. Um, Bear, so your fridge is about waist high. Okay, good, good. Um, and Anita makes a very nice comment, and I appreciate it very much. Um, oh, God, Anita, I hope I don't use so many visuals that you lose the context of what I'm talking about. I do show a lot of pictures during these live streams, so I think the last one especially you probably would have lost quite a bit in the translation during the first part, talking about the plus size models and Anna O'Brien's massive fail, no pun intended, in Times Square during her bikini shoot. Um, but hopefully you're able to go back and watch some of these. Although, a warning for all of you who may not have seen it before, I have posted the Naked Truth obesity video as a standalone here and on BitChute. In fact, last week's live stream is on BitChute as well now, chopped up into two pieces with the sound produced at a higher level to make it easier for people to hear. So those are out there on BitChute. The link is in my description. Um, and that Naked Truth obesity video is not safe for work. There are no actual naughty bits displayed. I dithered everything I possibly could, which is one of the reasons it took me so long to produce that video that I keep mentioning. I'm sorry about that. But these are naked, morbidly obese people. And so I don't think someone passing your desk at work would see that on your monitor and think, oh, that looks interesting. I think I'll sign up. That may be a little more than they want to see. In fact, noticing the size of these people, it may be a lot more than they want to see, if you don't mind my saying that. Old curmudgeon, my goal is 2 pounds of weight loss per month on the average. Not trying to kill myself. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I understand that completely. As long as you can maintain a steady loss, good for you. Good for you. I'm not going to sit here and say that anyone has to lose a certain amount per week or per month. That is not my. I don't have enough knowledge to say that, and I would be wrong if I did say you had to constrain yourself to a certain amount. I'm sure. So again, if it's working for you, keep going. Keep going. Don't let anyone give you a bunch of bull about you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right. If it's working for you, it's working for you and good for you. I mean, you've obviously come down quite a bit from your previous weight. So who's who's to judge you at all? Really, who? I couldn't think of a person, and anyone who did should just be slapped silly. Hat your book name. You're doing it wrong. um, quick story, I used to teach people how to fly the A-10C Warthog, also known as the, um, oh gosh, what is it technically called? The Warthog is its nickname. Um, God, I can't think of what the Air Force nomenclature for it is. Anyway, it's the Air Force attack jet that has the 30 millimeter 7 barrel Vulcan cannon that it was built around. It was specifically designed to carry that cannon and used to decimate Soviet tanks in the Fulda Gap. Um, it has a titanium bathtub around the pilot so it can sustain small ground fire without piercing the cockpit. 2 engines in case one is damaged. It has a wonder of incredibly innovative, redundant component ideas. Very survivable aircraft. And I used to teach people how to fly it online. I belonged to a group that was actually one of the best A-10 squadrons on the internet. I'll be perfectly honest. Um, I was a primary instructor. I was in charge of the instruction squadron, the training squadron, for I think about 2.5 years before I got sick. I tried coming back, but everything had advanced so far beyond me while I was sick, I couldn't catch up. So I decided it would just be best to drop out. Um, but anyway, so it was my job to tell people you're doing it wrong. So it's actually quite hilarious, Ray, that you threw that out there. Oh, Iron Bear, definitely not safe for work. Yes, I'm glad you saw it, Iron Bear. I'm glad you saw it. Um, and Anita, oh, you work alone. Well, I guess that has good and bad things. You don't have to put up with office chit chat, so you can get work done. But um, I've worked alone, and God, the word alone, it gets lonely. So I hope it's not bad for you. Tank Killer, absolutely, Ray. That was its entire mission was Tank Killer, and the A10C has been outfitted with so many software and hardware suites that it's completely changed from what it was back in the 70s and 80s. Completely changed, even from when it was first deployed during the original Desert Storm. Completely changed. It's an incredible aircraft. I miss it. I miss it. Um, Okay, Anita's getting back on the road, but you're listening. Excellent, excellent. All right. Johnny, you know the A10 sound. Absolutely, absolutely. And I have attached to my seat right now still something called a butt kicker, which is basically a transducer, and it would take the sound that the simulator would generate. And I flew DCS, which is Digital Combat Simulator software, and the A10 was one of the airplane suites in that software. Incredibly high fidelity stuff. Not everything is translated into the video game because I'm sorry, simulator. It's a study sim, if you will. Not everything is translated. Sometimes just for Defense Department reasons, you can't show everything. Every now and then they miss something and they're like, it's good enough. We're not going to go back and change that, and it kind of drives you nuts. But you get used to it. But the thing is, with the butt kicker, the sound. You put it through an auxiliary, one of those USB sound cards. You put it through one of those, and you hook it up to the butt kicker, to the transducer, and whenever something happens in the game that creates a sound that should translate to the butt kicker, it does. So when you taxi down a taxiway and you hit those seams in the taxiway and your tires roll over them, or when you're taking off, you feel that in your seat. Pump, 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 pump. And as you speed up down the runway, pop, 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 pop. And then when you rotate and you lift off, it goes away. And then you can feel the shudder of the airframe when you pop the speed brakes. You can feel that, the airflow change, and you can feel that in your butt. But when you fire the cannon, when you let that sucker rip, the GAU 8/A, when you let that sucker rip, it just shakes the entire chair, and you feel like you're in an A10. And you hear that sound in your headset, or I've got some Corsair speakers set up here that I use. When you feel that sound, oh my God, yeah, it's wonderful. DCS, Digital Combat Simulator. Look it up. I hope it's still around, and look for the A10 suite and get up. I hope they still make butt kickers. They were out of them when I bought mine. They had run out. I got one of the last ones from that production run. But if you can, go for it, man. Go for it. Yeah, Iron Bear. Yeah, I did fly a cannon. Absolutely. That's what that sucker was. Ray, I was stationed down in Gila Bend. I got to see all the planes fire and drop bombs every day for 2 years. Gila Bend, oh boy, woohoo! And Johnny, you study aerospace engineering. That's awesome, man. The A-10 Warthog is like a wet dream for me. Yeah, I honestly, I'll tell you, man. I'll put the link in the description for DCS, for you. Um, DCS link for Johnny. I'll put that in there so you can check it out. Um, and Ray, I like the A-10, but the guns were so loud and down in Gila Bend, they kept burning up engines, and that let me down the plane. Let me down on the plane. But otherwise, yeah, the thing with the A-10 is it's underpowered. It's about 30% underpowered. So they're always running those turbofans at very high uh, uh, turbine inlet temperatures, and like you said, on a hot in a hot environment, it'll burn up those blades. There's just no way around it. It'll burn up those blades. You just so I understand why they were down for maintenance all the time. And you're welcome, Johnny. You're absolutely welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, um, so back to Rayvn Skye. She has made her point about about people dieting and not addressing sugar intake, which will respond with excessive hunger and slower BMR. And no one can live in a state of constant hunger forever surrounded by food, which we've just discussed in detail, I'm sure. So I come back. Okay, I was wrong to base the 500 calorie number off of the 2,000 calorie standard. It's true that anyone consuming the standard daily amount wouldn't need to reduce intake, increase output to maintain a healthy weight. And there I am again. I'm still thinking thermodynamics. I'm still locked into that. I've had to read these several times before they really started to sink in. So again, we're all gaining from this video today, in my opinion. Everybody's learning, and it's reinforcing it all in me. So I'll make better videos. My videos, however, aren't about normal people. I say that, but then I reference myself, who I'm kind of a normal person, so I kind of screwed up there. They reference the overweight / obese. For instance, I'm relatively inactive and weigh 188 pounds, now 190. According to the formula I referenced in this video, my daily caloric intake required to stay at 188 pounds is 2,444 calories. Doing the basic math, it's obvious I can afford to cut 444 calories out of my diet and easily lose weight. Again, thermodynamics. That's where I'm at. Someone who's obese, like Whitney Thor, my touchstone, as I said in the video, can afford to cut over 1,000 calories a day from her diet. The devil is in the details. Oh my God, did I already read this? No, I think I just repeated devil's in the details. Let me look back on that. Did I read this already? Yeah, I did. I'm so sorry. I just realized that I repeated myself. I have repeated myself. I am so sorry. And okay, now we're caught up. Wow. Somehow I've been talking so much you all missed the complete repetition, or you're just too polite to mention it. Either way, I do apologize for screwing that up and taking longer than I should have. Basically, recommenting on things twice. And Ray, again, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the like button, folks. Keep this video up on the algorithm. Hit that like button. And again, if you subscribed but you haven't hit the bell icon next to the subscription tab yet, make sure to do so and select all notifications from those three radio buttons. All notifications will let you know every time I post a video, and each time the live stream is about to start. Again, I try to start the stream about 10 minutes before I actually go live. Today it was more like 6 minutes because I was busy and just flat out forgot to start the stream at 10 till. So I apologize for the short shoot, but hit that bell and hit all notifications, and you won't miss a video. Also, if you want, when you go to BitChute, I recommend this as well, that you hit when you subscribe to my channel on BitChute, which I would appreciate you doing if you feel the need. If you subscribe to BitChute, then make sure you hit notify for that as well, because I'm putting exclusive videos on BitChute as far as I'm cutting up the live streams that have more than one subject, and I'm dividing them on BitChute into those pieces, and I'm also re-engineering the audio to boost it, because the audio on these live streams is a bit low, but um, I can't just redo it once the video goes live, because that would mean I would have to delete it and then put the new video back up. And that's a pain in the butt. Trust me, it's an absolute pain in the butt. But it's easier to re-engineer it and put it on BitChute. So if you know anyone who's having trouble hearing these live streams, direct them to BitChute. Just now, I've only got last week's up, and I've got a pistol class tomorrow, so I probably won't get to it till Sunday. But I'll try to get at least the July 18th video up on BitChute, and then after that, the July 5th video, and that should catch me up. For some reason, BitChute is not automatically uploading my live streams. I don't know why. I think I discussed this last time. It might be a length thing or a size thing. I don't know, but by cutting them up and manually uploading them, I'm getting them onto BitChute. Okay, so once again, here I am locked into thermodynamics. Here's my question to Rayvn. Answer me one question, Rayvn. If calories in, calories out is not how we lose weight, then how, please? What is your formula for this? So again, I'm thinking in a very narrow band. I have not really taken in her comments yet. But she responds and takes me to a new level of understanding. And here's her response. There is no one set formula. If you start off with only restricting caloric intake, your body responds with starvation mode, which will drop your BMR and increase hunger hormones. It then becomes only a matter of time before any person will eventually give in and overeat and gain the weight back and then some, which we discussed before. Doing starvation diets, cutting out an entire food group from your diet, and restricting how much you eat per day. That, as she just said succinctly, will bring you down the path to small amount of weight loss and then a huge amount of gain. So it's not worth it. Now we really get specific. A body that believes it's starving has a response from the amygdala in the brain which says eat or die. And I've referenced that, I believe, in the nutritional psychology video. I talk about the amygdala a little bit. So that has come up. It says eat or die, and that creates a no-win scenario where a person's willpower has nothing to do with sticking to a low-calorie diet. When you merely restrict calories, you also permanently damage the body's metabolic systems and make it harder to lose weight the next time around. And that has been shown as well. And she's completely correct there. It's a known fact that people who yo-yo diet damage their body and have a hard time getting to those bottom portions of their weight as they bounce back up ever higher. It's a destructive cycle. And she's exactly correct in pointing this out, as I have learned since this. The amygdala reference is absolutely correct as well, as I have learned since this. Because you're still eating plenty of nutrients to sustain yourself, and that actually doesn't follow. Make it hard to lose weight the next time around because you're still eating plenty of nutrients to sustain yourself, including fats and proteins. I think that should have gone to another part of her comment, because it doesn't quite follow with the paragraph above it. Anyway, it's still a valid point. You need to eat plenty of nutrients to sustain yourself, including fats and proteins. Maybe if I read that a couple more times, it would make sense to me. Everybody in the comments, if you or in the chat, if you see that for what it is, then please pardon my stumbling all over it. Old Curmudgeon had to drop. We'll review the videos later as well. It was the pizza that pushed you up a couple pounds. Absolutely, sir. You're completely correct. Should level back off in a few days. Don't panic. And good day to you, sir. Good day to you. Okay, so Rayvn makes a couple points here. These are ways to lose weight. I remember I had asked her for a formula, and she's responding with the correct methods, not just restricting yourself to the thermodynamic argument that I was clinging to so desperately. She says, one, controlled carbohydrate diets without processed sugars, eating whole natural foods, which is what we're discussing right now, thanks to Ray and Ira Bear and Old Curmudgeon and Johnny. Everybody's really nailed that to the wall. And again, I've got my notes, so thank you all for that. And number two, surgery, which is obviously not recommended for a host of reasons. I would sincerely suggest you watch the channel What I've Learned and some of their videos, as the metabolic science is a bit too complicated to get into, and she put the link down at the bottom of that. And I did watch one or two of the videos there on What I've Learned, and they are quite spectacular. I didn't put the link to that. I have the link in this, but that doesn't do you any good. So I'll put that in there, What I've Learned link. I will put that in the description. It should be there by the time the video finishes processing and comes up as a standalone on the channel. And that is all for Rayvn. I followed up with one last comment. I'll check that out, Rayvn. Thank you for the link. Just so you know, I'll be making a video of our interactions to be sure as many viewers as possible will know what we've said. You've presented very important information here, and I want it out there for all to see. Cheers. And that is what I have done. And I hope that you all found it educational. I really do, because it's been a huge help to me. I have not really talked much about dieting recently, really since the Riley video. I've been concentrating more on fat acceptance. The nutritional psychology video, yeah, a little bit, but if I'm not mistaken, Rayvn commented with these posts after I had done the nutritional psychology video, so I wasn't able to put as much of this in there that I could have. I think I referenced the amygdala, and that was pretty much about it. Then I was just slapping around the whole nutritional psychology bunk as it came across. But, oops, let me shrink that. There we go. Okay. So let's catch up on the chat here. Johnny Gibson, I have much respect for you, that you try to help people like Rayvn. Honestly, I wouldn't have patience for somebody like her. I can't agree with that last sentence, Johnny. I just can't. I think she's someone who took the time and made a lot of effort to educate me on things that I was getting wrong in my videos, and she's made me a better YouTuber for it. She really has. There was the one part that I had a conflict with. We discussed it. I won't mention it again, but other than that, I think she did a great job. So I hope you'll see it that way in time. Annie Feathers, I wish the rest of the world was as humble and as kind as you are. I shouldn't have read that out loud. That's very kind, Anita. That's very kind. I really appreciate it. I try to be sincere. I think if I can be sincere and tell the truth as best I see it, then everybody's being well served. If I ever get out of bounds, I expect anyone to call me out on it. Now again, there are the odd vitriolic comments that I get, but sometimes I react to them in an angry manner. I lose my temper, and sometimes I just say, "Does this mean you won't like, share, and subscribe?" and leave it at that. Most of the people who leave the really nasty comments don't come back to read what I've responded to anyway. They're just pure hit and run. They're basically cowards, But Rayvn took the time and the patience to walk me through her knowledge. And again, I kept clinging to that whole thermodynamic argument throughout the entire thing. And she only really got short with me once, when she had said, "As I've tried to tell you before." That was the only time where she got a little frustrated, aside from the other. I can't take offense to that. I just can't, because I wasn't really paying attention at the time. I was reading it, but I wasn't relating to it. I wasn't really getting it into my brain. But now I think we've all seen that process. Ray Kimbrell Hat, have you seen that England, the NHS will pay for a stomach staple but will not pay for the excess skin that is left from the weight loss? I don't believe that. So I'm sure the NHS is saying the excess skin is considered cosmetic surgery, and they won't spring for it. And also, as I understand it, now that you mention it, the NHS is handing out stomach stapling without telling people that they need to change their eating habits. I believe you told me that in the last chat. Um, if I'm mistaken, if it was someone else, please speak up. But I'm pretty sure it was Ray who schooled me on that. So yeah, it's I don't understand how it is that I'm going to go off on a rant here. Please excuse me, but I just don't understand how it is that people complete comparing the U.S. healthcare system to the U.K. healthcare system when you have examples like this of where, even though it's quote unquote free healthcare, it's more harmful than good. They're more afraid of being politically correct than they are of correct medical procedures. And to not pay for a skin removal after morbidly obese weight loss, I think it's just egregious. And the one other argument I'll make is if the NHS is so great, why is there private healthcare available in the UK? That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Well, thank you, Ibear. I'm glad you liked it. And Anita, I went to my doctor yesterday, and he told me the reason I haven't lost weight in the last 6 weeks is because my body was in starvation mode. He calculated my weight and told me how much water intake I need. That is awesome. And I do not drink enough water. This is tea with honey that I keep next to me during the live streams to keep from making a lot of mouth clicks. And those of you who listened to the last live stream will notice that especially near the end, the mouth clicks came in high and fast because I was only drinking water. And I apologize for that. But yeah, I definitely need to drink more water. I'm really glad you went to the doctor. That's one thing I've said before, and I will say often. If you're losing weight, if you want to lose weight, and you can't, or if you want to lose weight and you just want to check yourself, please go see a professional and get yourself looked at. Obviously, I was gaining tons of weight. No one said a word. My doctor didn't care. And I finally found out through sheer accident what was wrong with me. And I got that fixed. I started eating better. My metabolism got better. And I started losing weight. So that was an obvious case where I needed medical help in order to lose weight. My wife, on the other hand, she just needed a better diet. She was stress eating because her job was horrendously awful to her. I cannot begin to describe the work environment she was putting up with. And since she's retired, especially that stress has gone away, although she was dealing with it in a much more efficient manner a couple years ago when she first started on her diet with Jenny Craig. And I am nothing but proud of her for that. Now both of us are in the pool, and that weight loss is going to keep coming down. Yeah, oh, Ray, it was you. Okay, great. Thank you for that. Okay, everybody, I have a ball game to get to. Sorry for that clap. I hope I didn't break anybody's eardrums. But I need to get my cigar stuff together because it's a cigar party baseball game. It's a fundraiser, as I said before. This video will post. I'm going to try as fast as I can to get those links that I promised up. Johnny, the DCS link for you, and also the link to the BMR chart that I referenced earlier that Rayvn and I had a little quibble over. So I'll get those in the description, and once it posts, they'll be available there. And I'll say one last thing. It's in the description. If you would like to, feel free to visit my Patreon page. It's up, and the link will be in the description. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for a wonderful time. I can't tell you how much I enjoy doing these live streams. So I want to thank Johnny and Anita and Ray and Irebear, Perseus. Gosh, we had a bunch of people here today. Old Curmudgeon. Yeah, it was a terrific chat, everybody. I think we had somebody at the very beginning. I want to get everybody's name in here. Wow, what a great chat. Look at you guys. That's everybody. All right. Y'all be well. And again, next live stream will be at 1 p.m. Central U.S. time, 3 hours earlier than normal. And that will either be next week or the week after. I will try to post a teaser for that video the Monday before, so you'll have plenty of time to prepare. And with that said, take care, everybody, and thank you for your attention. So long.